live from the beautiful parking lot of Sprouts Farm Fresh Produce and Natural Foods here in beautiful Sacramento, California. It's a lovely day. The rain has stopped.
Until tomorrow. The winds have stopped.
Yes, the winds were terrible. Constance was out in it.
I'm always out in it.
She's always out in it.
Nailing up tarps and stuff. It's what I do.
The roof leaked.
Oh, I was cooking dinner last night. And right in front of me, I'm going, where is this coming? Anyway, from the light socket, pretty much. We have recessed lights in there. I don't like them, but are you?
Oh.
What are you doing?
I was
Pictures
just.
of the ceiling?
Oh, yes. It was dripping from the roof, much like the roof of this car, which hopefully does not leak anymore. Anyway.
Really? What are you
yes,
doing?
it was a... Oh, because you started to talk.
I know, but you put it right in my face and it was aimed up there. So I couldn't quite figure out what you were doing.
Oh, I can't see what I'm...
Okay.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Okay, you hold it. All right.
All righty then. There, no more stealing shots. Anyway, I was cooking dinner, chopping, and it started dripping on me anyway from the light socket kind of thing. So I screamed.
It's not good when electrical.
No, so I told Lon to immediately call the landlord and figured maybe someday they'd fix it because it had to come. It meant that it was leaking into part of the attic and then through the floor. So it's probably, bad. And they'll...
I flushed the toilet and flames came out of it.
Well, our toilet used to flush up and into the shower for about 3 years until they finally fixed that. And then it was flushing outside and they finally fixed that because the city made them. They're nice people, but they have too many properties and...
Yeah.
And the inside of the house looks nice. It has wood floors and stuff like that. But it's really, it's rotting outside with paint over it and flaking. So bad things happen. Anyway, and Carla's back from the shop.
Yes, Carla.
Carla's back from the shop.
You've already seen her.
Again, she's back from the shop again. We were hoping it's not going to happen for a while.
She's smogged.
She's smogged, too, for 2 years, and she seems to be happy. And we're glad to be in our own car, even though we've had help. We're so grateful to, when something goes wrong, to have Quinn or Taryn lately, too, taking us places. I mean, they just do it. I mean, they're so kind. As if they didn't have anything else to do in their lives. Anyways, and I realized that ever since we've lived here in Sacramento, I haven't had a single month without some kind of a disaster happening or stress us out. How about you, honey?
I haven't noticed.
Some of that's true.
Out of self-preservation, I haven't noticed.
Anyway, you can hold the camera.
Okay,
I don't want to do it.
I will hold the camera. What I'll do...
You're usually very good at it.
I'm good.
Anyway,
well, because I turn it around.
Yeah, talk it to you first.
There we go.
Are you going to talk first? I thought.
No.
I have the show, but today I decided to prepare. But it was like days ago I decided to prepare. While I was having my coffee break, which is my uninterrupted time with myself and whatever book I'm reading.
Yeah, there's your coffee break and your nervous break.
Right, the nervous break comes before the coffee break. Afterwards,
coffee break up, nervous break down.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
But yeah, which is exactly, no, I don't know. No, I don't, no, the coffee is good. I only have one a day, so half or whatever. Anyway, I become cheerful and inspired and talk even faster than this. So I wrote something, and it seems appropriate for today because I've just been thinking about how since I said we moved here, there's been one disaster after another constantly. I mean, truly, and what the heck am I doing wrong? Because I was reading, like, in A Course of Miracles, will say things like There are no neutral thoughts. None. All thoughts create something. They either create something in tune with truth or reality, which usually feels like in tune with your will. It's good, and you flow with it, and everything seems to work, Or thoughts create something that's, totally illusory. You're having conversations with yourself about worrying about stuff that never happens, but those thoughts still create something, and it usually feels uncomfortable or crap. So my real question to myself, the reason I'm talking too is because my talks are like preachy, because I'm clergy, but not just because of that, because I am preaching to myself what I want to learn. What I think I need to learn at that time. I mean, I may be totally delusional too, but that's what I think. So that's why they usually sound a little strange. So, but I've been thinking about what am I thinking? That forever here,
It only sounds judgmental to others.
What am I thinking?
No,
No,
you're preaching. You're preaching to yourself. It only sounds like you're preaching to others. Okay.
Lon likes to ignore the truth.
It's too big.
He has his own oracle, and he wants to ignore the truth. Oh gosh, I'm wasting his time for a show.
No,
Anyway,
I got a short show.
I'm going to read two things. I'm going to read what I wrote, because shockingly, I also must have precognition. I wrote this before I wrote this because we were having some other emergency, and then another one came and replaced it immediately. So I wrote, many of us, excluding me, seem to be in restricted, limiting, or otherwise trying circumstances today. And I was also listening to the news, and
Yeah.
it's just like, it's not. It's like we're living in a horse paddock with straw bedding on the floor. Picture this. But the poo keeps falling faster than we can clean it up. How's that, Lon? Is that esoteric enough for you?
I love poop analogies.
I know you do.
Yes.
Lon's like still a 5-year-old boy. Okay. Things on this plane of existence will change. They always do. Any change is supposed to be good, because it means things are moving along. You're flowing with it.
Yep.
Here, real truth doesn't change, but in the realm of below the abyss, illusory life, things are going to change, and that's to be expected, and all change is supposed to be good. So, because all thoughts have effects, just like I was saying before, just for a brief moment, let's cease our lamenting for what we don't have and breathe a grateful sigh of relief for what we do have. See, Lon?
Amen.
See, Lon?
Amen.
I'm grateful, Lon.
Oh.
I'm very grateful, Lon. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I can play that back. I'll put it on a loop.
But don't go unconscious. See, Lon? Don't go unconscious. Play that back too.
What'd you say?
Don't go unconscious. Just try to squeak in a few minutes a day for some quiet time. Time to rediscover the real you, the one that is not alone and feels united with all the good in the world. See, that's how I get after I have my half a cup of coffee. One that smiles more, is kinder to yourself, is slightly more optimistic, and create something new and wonderful. Clean out that poo for a while and spin that straw into gold.
Oh. And our friend William Manzi says, horse poop is great for rhubarb.
Yes, it is. I didn't have rhubarb, but Rob Clough, our beloved Rob Clough, used to bring me, he would get pickup truck of
Horseman.
horsemen,
Yeah.
and he would share some with me in our last house. It was wonderful. Okay, spin that straw into gold, and then wait. Be open. See, we ask for something and then we close all the doors. So, then ask for something, then wait. Be open. Be grateful. And wait for opportunities in unexpected places.
Oh.
In unexpected places. And be ready to accept them. They will come. So, with healing and peace and freedom from fear, spin that straw into gold. But I have one more from Libre Librier,
Yes.
which was Crowley, number 17. Thump that Bible. Fixed thought is a means to an end. Therefore, pay attention to the power of silent thought and meditation. The material act is but the outward expression of thy thought. See, don't blame it on the world, don't blame it on somebody else. The material act is but the outward expression of thy thought. And therefore hath it been said that the thought of foolishness is sin. Which is just a little
The thought
bit.
of foolishness. And that's, yes, maybe. Yes.
Thought is the commencement of action. If a chance thought can produce much effect, all of our chance thoughts are producing much effect. What cannot fix thought do? What cannot fix thought do? So let's fix our thoughts on spinning that straw into gold.
Very good.
And healing and peace and freedom from fear again. Okay, that's it for the day.
Well, thank you, dear. That was very, it's just good to get back in the car for, it isn't Tuesday though.
No.
We're Wednesday
That's
today.
because it was storming too bad yesterday.
So
It was really horrible. We couldn't leave because I was afraid of leaks, and then
it leaked.
it leaked.
What
Cannot
cannot
fix
fix
thought
thought
do.
do?
Yeah, but that's because it always does.
Well,
Okay.
we hope the roof man has a fixed thought.
Yes.
Okay.
He fixes the thought.
Well, get us something. I want veggie hot dogs.
We have
I'll-
hot dogs at home.
Not that I would know.
It's because you
We
want
have a
them all
collection
at home.
of. We got a
still
museum.
have the
We got a
camera.
museum of veggie hot dogs somewhere.
Yeah. I'm leaving now.
Okay, I'm going to
It's
turn.
on you.
I'm.
It's all on you.
It's all
Ron.
on me. Thank you very much.
No stress.
Now, stress. I'm too old for stress.
I'm too old because of stress.
I'm just uncomfortable limpness.
Why?
I
hate to tell you this, but you have been uncomfortable limpness since you were 16. As I remember, you were.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Well, get us some kind of salty treat of some kind, okay?
I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Whatever is, Last week the refrigerators were down.
The refrigerators were down here.
In the whole store last week. So it was a bit.
So maybe that's why we didn't get veggie hot dogs. Right?
That would have been, but no, we don't get them here.
Okay, well, thank you, dear.
I'm leaving you now. I know you're
Okay.
happy about that. So.
If you can get the code to the restroom door.
They don't let me have it every time. Sometimes only a few people do. They
Oh.
usually have to take you there.
You need a code to get in. Anyway, well, wasn't that nice? Okay. we've been watching, as lots of us have, the terrible situation that's unfolding, not only domestically here in the United States, but even more terrifyingly at the moment in the Middle East. And the announcement today that it's somebody's intention to just take over Gaza and just turn it into a resort and just simply move everybody out. It's almost like the news has turned into the headlines of The Onion. Day after day, it's just all crazy. And so there is so much attention to that part of the world, and now it seems it has become official policy of some governments to accept the literal biblical view of historic events rather than historical view. To my mind, that is incredibly alarming. And years ago, I always refer back to the Key to Solomon's Key book, because I went to, at least for me, great lengths to sort of generally unravel the historic empirical history of the region compared to what we've in Western civilization have more or less accepted biblical history as history. And of course, I wasn't there, not that I recall. So we don't know for sure. But it seems like it should be important to know what the reality of a situation is, so that we can behave intelligently when we start talking about where somebody can dwell, or where somebody can actually live. I mean, live as in breathe. And yes. So anyway, this being the year of the snake, the lunar year of the snake, and my favorite image of the snake is Ouroboros, the snake with its tail in its mouth. And I make a comment on that symbol, believe it or not, vis-a-vis what I've just been talking about. The Key to Solomon's Key is like two sections. The second part of the book is a sort of a handbook for Goetic or Solomonic magic. Solomonic magic, okay? And Solomonic magic uses the formula of the allegorical story of King Solomon, using the spirits, what he would call evil spirits, get them under control and have them build the great temple of Solomon. Well, in writing about that subject, I wanted to find some little tidbit of historical things that I could just say about King Solomon, the historical King Solomon. What years did he reign, and what was happening in those years? And I wanted to just say, and he enjoyed juicy fruit gum. Juicy fruit gum was King Solomon's favorite thing, and he ordered. I just wanted to say something historical. I couldn't find any. Okay, and I've talked about this over and over and over again. And of course, then that brings in the whatever it was that the Knights Templar found, probably in a tangible historic way. They found a certain amount of evidence that gave them a certain edge with the Church of Rome and with the crown princes of Europe, as if they knew something, found something out that should it be revealed, it would unravel the entire structure of the church and the political entities that depended upon this idea of the divine right of kings. The idea being there weren't no Solomon. Okay, historically, if there was a Solomon, he was a small. If there was an ancient Israel, it was nothing resembling the biblical description of it. The dates don't match. They just don't exist in empirical history, and that's a big thing. Okay, that's a big thing, and we more or less think that part of the power of the Knights Templar, which more or less had a carte blanche for about 200 years in European history, was the fact that they knew this, and they more or less knew that this whole structure of church and state was pretty much based on legend and not history. And Freemasonry, at least in the last 300 years or so, has venerated, if you will, the Knights Templar. And on one level, it's, they're the crusading knights, the Christian knights of Christ taking over Jerusalem and stuff. Well, you could look at it that way, but there's something else deeper, and Freemasonry has such a hermetic, intelligent, enlightened point of view that I think they're embracing something deeper in the Templar tradition than just that. And of course, Masons venerate King Solomon, but in the same way as I venerate King Solomon, as in order to do magic, in order to do this seemingly demonic magic, to get demons to work for you in a constructive way, you have to be a Solomon. Okay. Number one, you got to be a Solomon. And what does it mean to be free, a free king in your life, a king that is in harmony with the divine will? Because Solomon got his wisdom, got his power, if you will, in the legend by entering into the presence of God. In other words, synchronizing his will with the universal will of what it is, the universal singularity of consciousness. Harmonize so that everything that should be done is done by the vessel of Solomon. That's the key to Solomonic magic, the invocation that precedes the ceremony. Hope that makes sense. So I talk a little bit about the Dan Brown book called The Lost Symbol. And yeah, say what you will about Dan Brown. He brought a lot of people to a place where they started to actually think about things and put things in perspective, especially as it applies to the Knights Templar, as it applies to Freemasonry and mysticism. And now we come to the end of the first section of this book. And the first section is where I demonstrate the non-historicity of the Bible. Now we come to the end of the first section of this book. What follows in part 2 is my brief introduction to the practice of Solomonic magic, pertinent excerpts from the Lesser Key of Solomon, and the names and descriptions of the 72 spirits of the Goetia. That's all I intended it to be when I started out, too. Together with their individual seals by which they are summoned and controlled. I'm sure there will be magicians who will disagree with me, but I assure you that if you are properly prepared, the remaining pages will provide you with a thorough and tidy handbook for the practice of this venerable and powerful spiritual art. I hope you realize by now that my primary purpose for writing part 1 of this book was to help you realize your magical birthright as a Solomon, and that unless you personally experience that transformational realization and possess that mindset, the material in part 2 will be for you at best useless and silly, and at worst an invitation to delusion and madness. Please don't think I'm suggesting you must reject the historicity of the Bible or apply for initiation in the Masonic fraternity or indeed any organization in order to achieve that mindset. Religious cynicism is not a replacement for wisdom, and lodge dues cannot purchase wisdom or illumination. It's a big mistake to believe that any order, coven, or club, or league, or fellowship, or fraternity, or sorority, or cult, or pact, or sect, secret or otherwise, holds a monopoly on truth, or can be the sole transmitter of the secret of the ages. That being said, I readily confess that I've received immeasurable personal and professional and spiritual benefit from my involvement in Freemasonry and my 50-year, it says 35 when I wrote this, but it's now my 50 years as an initiate of Ordo Templi Orientis. But this enrichment has been the result, to paraphrase John F. Kennedy, of not what magic, the magic of the Masons and the OTO did for me, but what magic I did for myself because of my work and experience in those two great orders. For me, the OTO and the Masons complement each other extraordinarily well. While the former has initiated me to the profound and subtle spiritual secrets of magic and nature, the latter has inducted me into the historic current of human thought and endeavor that has for centuries kept that knowledge and wisdom alive. In objective reality of world politics, that current made its most revolutionary and dramatic cultural statement as the great Masonic experiment in government, the creation of the United States of America. And this is what rubs me so terribly wrong about what's happening when I'm watching the dismantlement, the deconstruction of that great experiment right before my eyes. In his highly entertaining novel, The Lost Symbol, Dan Brown takes us on a whirlwind tour of Masonic Washington, D.C., and a tour of American history, indeed the history of Western civilization, that deserves our attention, recognition, and respect. I know for a fact that prior to its publication, Masonic lodges all over the United States anyway, were alerted by their respective Grand Lodges to prepare themselves to process an influx of membership applications following the book's release. This phenomenon is doubly gratifying to those of us within the fraternity who see in the Masonic experience the opportunity for profound spiritual transformation. Transformation of the individual, transformation of society, transformation of humanity. These new Masons are coming into the craft not because their fathers and grandfathers were Masons, not because they seek networking advantages to their social, business, or political aspirations, but because they want to be part of a movement in human thought and a movement and a moment in human history. This yearning in each of us for self-perfection, self-realization, is embodied in the concept of the Freemasons' search for the lost word. In Mr. Brown's fanciful book, the plot revolves around the idea that the lost word might not be a word at all, but rather a symbol whose image can trigger in the properly prepared mind the final revelation of truth. In the story, this lost symbol will eventually be inserted inside another very famous and venerable symbol, the Ouroboros. Okay, so the symbol fits in here. Let's look at it again here. Okay, the lost symbol fits inside that. And I'm trying to segue into and the year of the snake. Okay. Let's see. It's inserted inside another famous and venerable symbol of the Ouroboros, the serpent or dragon swallowing its own tail, thereby forming a circle. Without entering into a discussion of the viability of conjectures put forth in a work of fiction, and it's an entertaining one, okay, I have to confess that I consider the Ouroboros, or more precisely, the emptiness within the circle created by the Ouroboros. I just love the Ouroboros. You gotta have a couple drinks in you. I have a symbol of the Ouroboros. Okay. But I digress. To be sublimely appropriate venue for both the Mason's lost word and Mr. Brown's lost symbol. Modern magicians, Kabbalists, and esoteric Freemasons alike hold this great zero in mystic veneration. for it represents the gateway through which existence springs from potentiality into manifestation, or nothing bringing forth everything at the beginning of the creation cycle, and the gateway through which manifest existence returns back at the end of the creation cycle, or everything returning to nothing. Now, of course, and I talk about this a lot, there are two tarot cards that Hermetic Kabbalists tell us represent these two zeros. They are the first and final cards of the Trump series, the Fool and the Universe, Aleph and Tav. These two zeros are the alpha and omega of being, the negative issuing into manifestation, and the manifest being, its purpose fulfilled, returning back into the negative. The silence that precedes the creative word, or logos, and the silence that follows its reabsorption. It's impossible to properly discuss this inscrutable super zero without sounding like a fool, which is why I believe the Fool card is at once the most clearly defined and most profoundly inscrutable card in the entire tarot deck. It is, by my humble reckoning, a most fitting candidate for Mr. Brown's lost symbol. And the silence the Fool represents is perhaps the only contender for the lost word of Freemasonry. This symbol, this word, cannot be discovered by searching in books or solving Kabbalistic puzzles. It can only be found inside you. To paraphrase Hamlet, there are more things inside you than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Wonderful things, terrible things, but your things nonetheless. As a magician, as a Solomon, you'll need to meet and master them all. In the Gospel, according to Thomas, Jesus said, quote, "If you bring forth that which is inside you, it will save you. If you do not, it will destroy you." And that's our little talk. I know I've gone way over. But anyway, it's good to be back in Carla. I'm knocking on wood here. She's running really, really good. She got herself smogged, got a lot of work done. I've put absolutely money that I didn't have this year in keeping her on the road. And I hope she won't need any more work for a long, long, long time. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.